So you've come to the right place if you're interested in attempting the 3 passes trek in Nepal. YouTube's where I started doing my research as well as reading other people's blogs. But at the time, this time a year ago, 2018, mid 2018, there wasn't much information on what to expect.
Now that's a glacier. Wow.
I could be seen as a pretty unexperienced hiker, Himalaya style, that I felt like my head was screwed on and I knew what I was doing.
This is Renzo Pass. Renzo Pass? It's not Renzo Pass. Konglama Pass.
We met so many travellers with like no hiking experience or doing the trekking trainers without the correct gear, just having no idea what they were about to do, and really blasé about it, as if they just decided to do it on a whim. All this really is just a warning not to just throw yourself into it, and just put a bit of thought into what suited best to your experience. I mean, this was our marathon. It's considered to be the hardest multi-day trek to Everest Base Camp. But the main goal was to cross the 3 passes, which were all over 5,400 meters in altitude, and you're climbing near vertical terrain in places. The altitude just strips you back.
Absolutely brutal.
The loss of appetite and a lack of nutrients just take any physical energy you have left away. And then there's the illness and lack of sleep really test your mental strength.
My elevation's got to me a bit. My head, back's heavy, I'm tired.
But each morning we woke up early and pushed on through freezing temperatures.
Finally, the sun might defreeze my water.
Carry on our own backpacks between 15 and 20 kilograms without a safety of a local guide, and just everything fell against us.
I'm really struggling. Chola Pass has taken it out of us.
But the views and the peace you attain reward you at every turn you take, and you begin to realise why you're pushing on through the hostile environment. It's an epic adventure, and it'll leave you breathless in more ways you can imagine. So, you've got your first obstacle, the most dangerous flight in the world. Didn't go well. Once you reach the mountains, you've got to pass the monstrous beasts. You've got the chance of facing possible avalanches and rock slides.
Whoa.
Survive that, you've got to navigate through a maze of boulder fields.
Crossing glacier fields, ain't that fun?
And then you've got to hike glacial faces. And then you've got the thought of climbing over altitudes of 5,500 meters.
Oh, top of Chukungri, 5,546 meters.
Top of the world.
Highest we've ever been.
It's pretty epic, eh? Anyway, this is my version of events, which I hope will help you decide whether the trek is for you and whether you're prepared enough. Now, if what I discuss next sounds a bit negative, then I apologise. I don't apologise. But take it all with a pinch of salt, because I know there's more experienced hikers out there that would do the trip 3 times back to back. I get it. But this is for the average person, how I describe as me and my partner. The average fitness, average experience. But your experience of the trek will differ to mine. depending on the weather, whether you use a guide, the time frame, how your body reacts to the altitude. I mean, we're passionate hikers. The trek was a complete dream for us, and we may be a little biased because we did have chest infections for 2/3 of the hike.
Chest infections. With a chest infection. Yeah. Still suffering with chest infections.
But I wish I was told what I'm about to tell you now, because I might have chose something a little different, something a bit easier maybe. Because we found so many hikers and trekkers disappointed and upset that their trip was ruined because they weren't prepared.
Can we get a helicopter?
Sure.
I mean, deciding which trek you do, you need to decide whether you want a nice trek through the mountains to take some pictures, or you may feel you might want a bit more of a challenge.
Oh. Just walking across the glacier. No big deal.
And feel this is could be your one chance for your big trip you've always dreamed of. And this is how we felt really. It was kind of go big or go home. One tip I'd say is not going into the trek resting all hope on you completing the entire thing, because that way you're going to save disappointment straight away. There could be a possibility that there's going to be something that steps in your way and you might not be able to complete a certain section of it.
Kalapatar. Kim decides to stay. She's right there.
This is an important one. To guide or not to guide. So a massive decision is whether you want to use a guide and porter possibly to carry your bags. There's definitely a few positives of using a guide. The obvious one would be the fact that he knows the route. Well, you'd hope to think so. So it's just one less thing to think about. But there's other things like you'll be supporting the local area and community, and you're going to probably learn a bit more about the culture, the history, and he'll tell you a bit more about where you're walking. The negatives are with a guide you're paying for his time, so you're going to be stuck to a time frame. Doing it alone means that you're in control, so if you want to rest, you can take your time. Also, looking at the positive, some people seeing having a guide to talk about the local culture as a positive. I see it as a negative because it's just annoying small talk for me. The weather's nice today, isn't it? Yeah. What mountain's that? Is that a yak or a cow? Baggage. I think a big positive would be having a porter, because I think without us carrying our bags, it would have been a hell of a lot easier.
Unbelievable.
There's also sometimes the option on the villages before you reach each pass, you can just hire a porter for a day. I'd probably recommend that because they're long days and they're hard days, and without the bags, you're just going to find it a little bit easier. Our worst drawback was probably the fact we hadn't really been on multi-day treks, many, carry on our own bags.
Getting used to our bags, realising that we've packed a bit too much and it's a bit too heavy.
So if you do decide you're going to be carrying your own bags, it's really important to take as much time and effort to keeping the weight down to a minimum. I mean, if you're like me, you want to carry all your camera gear and tech gear, then you're just going to have to do it. But try and focus on the emergency things. Also, make sure it fits right, it's comfortable, because having bag attached to you for that period of time, 3 weeks, it's a pretty big deal.
You've got new bags?
New bags?
North Face?
North Face.
And in terms of what to pack, we'll see if there's much interest in this video, and I may make one to help some of you out with what to pack, but it's pretty straightforward. Navigation. I'd done a lot of research beforehand on preparation for the trek and on the route, and I felt quite comfortable with what to expect. I can clearly say that the main route, touristy routes to Everest Base Camp are fairly easy to follow, but I can't say the same thing once you get off route onto the Three Passes track, which is less trodden. I mean, I'm a little embarrassed to say I put most of my trust in the app Maps.me, which was recommended. I mean, it can be pretty handy when you need a little nudge to make sure you want to stay on this right route, but when you come across a constantly moving glacier, which the track can change from day to day through rock slides, it's not so good.
So far, this is the glacier. Tried to use the GPS, and it isn't right at all.
Scrub up on your map reading skills. I should have improved my skills a lot more before leaving home because I always wanted to. Plus, it'll help you feeling ashamed when you need to tell an experienced hiker that you're using GPS on your phone to guide you through the Himalayas. Now, altitude. Now, here's another issue that you can't really prepare for unless you live somewhere in high altitude or you have a gym that specializes in that sort of training. Now, there are things you can do to prepare, and I'll leave you to research that. But prepare to struggle because it is real, and just take as many precautions as possible because it's one of the main issues we found with hikers along the route, and not to scare you anyway, but it can be life-threatening.
A little example of how the weather can change in Nepal drastically. We had clear views about 10 minutes ago.
I had been to an altitude over 4,000 meters, but it was for a short period, so it would be quite hard to compare. But for us, after about 3,500 meters, we began to feel it, and you don't feel right in your own skin. And there were times on some steep inclines that I was walking like a frail old man. It just saps away your strength and just makes you feel really weak. This is our training routine on the lead up to our trek. So on the months leading up, we tend to go out to the mountains for a day hike on the weekend. But being in Wales, most of the peaks didn't tend to be over 1,000 meters. But we did get a lot of experience of scrambling through that, which did help because you will come across a fair bit of that. And on the month leading up, I did 3 times cardio a week, about an hour. Now, personally, that was nowhere near enough, and I should have put in a lot more training because I struggled.
Today is a bit like how we feel. A bit moody, tired.
So I can't give you any sort of training plan, but all I can say is put as much effort you can into training because the fitter you are, the more you will enjoy it. And it's going to be possibly the most physical challenge of your life because if it was for me, I don't think I'll do anything more draining than that. Now the other one, illness. So other than the fitness and the altitude, there's the chance of illness, which we kind of brushed off. Didn't really expect anything. Oh, were we wrong? So other than the common Khumbu Valley Cough. We were fine until we reached Gorak Shep. It's the purpose-built shanty town, which is a jumping-off point to reach Everest Base Camp. The lodges are like sitting in a hospital waiting room with this chorus of coughs around you. But anyway, my point is, this is where our illness began, and this nearly stopped us still, and we were millimeters of ending our trek because of it.
Bad chest cough. So we decided to try and push on to Gokyo because we heard there's a medical centre.
There's a high chance you're going to get ill, and you're best to be prepared. Do some research on some of the illnesses you get up there, and take as many prescription meds as you can with you as possible as backup. I took some amoxicillin, luckily, which is good for chest infections. The typical painkillers will be good, and your throat lozenges, because they're going to come in handy. Trust me. And then there's always having a backup plan in case you do need to return home, or give yourself as many days possible to rest in case of illness, because we needed a few of them.
We decided to get a chest infection, and picked a very nice spot to relax for a while.
And most importantly, make sure you shell out on some decent insurance that's going to cover you for the high altitude, and also a helicopter possibly out of there in an emergency. Puts your mind at rest. In looking back now, we were pretty naive to the whole thing, and honestly, me and my girlfriend probably weren't prepared enough, and we shouldn't really have attempted it at our level of experience.
So update on the glacier, we got lost.
But saying that, we did complete the trek on our own, carrying our own gear, without a guide. So with enough determination, a mix of stubbornness and a tiny pinch of stupidity, you can do anything, right? I mean, either way, it was a life-changing trip, and I would go back in a heartbeat, no doubt.